Today we are going to be rendering some deer tallow. Most of the time all of this is discarded in the gutting process, but not over here. We're going to make use of every single bit of it. I'll be using it to create skincare liniments and soaps and all kinds of other beautiful healing remedies. We're going to start by just cutting off as much meat as we can. It's a time-consuming process, but it's well worth it. This doe was extremely healthy and she had a lot of tallow to offer. Next, we're just going to rinse it off really good. Once I've got it all cleaned up, I'm going to go ahead and cut it into smaller chunks and then just throw them all in the crock pot. This makes it a lot easier for them to render down. I'm going to add in about 1/4 cup of salt and a couple cups of water. I'm going to put the crock pot on low and let it cook up for about 8 hours. As you can see, the fat is starting to get soft, so at that point I'm going to hit it with my immersion blender and just break up all of those chunks. And then I'm just going to let it keep rendering. All the floaties that you see here on the top, well, we're going to scrape those off and just discard them. And then we're going to do our first pour. Look how pretty that tallow is, nice and golden. I'm going to strain it over a cheesecloth to just make sure that all of the sediment is out. After I do this, I will allow it to harden, and then I will add it all back to my crock pot with fresh salt and fresh water, and we'll render it again. This tallow is so beautiful, and as you can see, it is a pretty pure white color. That is exactly what we're going for. It still has a bit of a gamey smell, but I'm going to get rid of that with the use of some aromatic herbs. You want to make sure before you pour your tallow to store it that there is no water left in it. Some of these chunks have some moisture in them, so putting it back into the crock pot on high with the lid off will help them to evaporate. I'm going to be adding some roses, some lavender, some juniper, some peppermint, and some pine needles. These herbs will help with the gamey smell, and they'll add even more nourishing and healing benefits to the tallow. I infused the tallow with the herbs overnight, and now I am just straining all of them out, making sure I squeeze them real good so that I don't waste any of that beautiful tallow. Overall, this process has taken me about 4 days, and I rendered my tallow 3 times. The finished product is a pretty pale green color from all of the herbs, and overall I ended up with about 80 ounces of tallow to work with. Next, we're going to make soap.